Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Today, we are back again with yet another OWASP Project Spotlight series. And we have a very special project with us called OWASP Threat Dragon, which is around threat modeling. And we will get into it in a bit. And John is going to be helping me explaining about Threat Dragon. He is one of those champions who actually take care of Threat Dragon project and helps in growing and making it one of the important projects for OWASP. So, John, we would like to know about you and then about OWASP Threat Dragon.
Great, and thank you so much for having me on, having Threat Dragon, I should say, on the Spotlight series. It's a really nice thing for us to do. It's quite an exciting time for us because we've just moved from OWASP incubator project status to lab project status. So, you know, we seem to be on a roll and we're just trying to cover everything. So who am I? I am actually one of the project leaders for Threat Dragon. There's other leaders as well. We've got a team of 3. There's Mike Goodwin, who is the original author, wrote the vast majority of the code. There's Leo Redding. He's working on Threat Dragon version 2. I can explain about that later on in the spotlight if we want. But at the moment, Threat Dragon version 1 is mainly what I'm dealing with. So sometime next year we'll get version 2. What is Threat Dragon? OWASP, it is an OWASP project, so it's open source. I might just share my screen. There we go. So that's our project page on the OWASP site. So we're a threat modeling tool. So we all know about threat modeling. It's used during a secure software development lifecycle. Historically, it's been a little bit ignored or downplayed because it's not immediately obvious how it's going to benefit you. But more and more these days, people are getting threat modeling, they're understanding it. And now it's the interest in threat modeling in general is increasing rapidly. And that's really good for me because it's nice for people to use our tools and certainly Threat Dragon. But also it's a good sign because threat modeling can make products and systems more secure. That's demonstrable. So that's who we are. That's what the product is for, the Threat Dragon. And yeah, what shall I do next? Shall I talk a bit more about? Oh, go on.
Yeah, let's go ahead and can we show them a demo?
Yeah, so what I've done is you can see my browser at the moment. There it is. There's the Threat Dragon project page itself. Now, Threat Dragon itself can be used as a desktop application, but it also can be used as a web application. So what I've done is I've got and you should be able to see that. And there is Threat Dragon in action. So I'm going to log out. There we go. And log back in again. So you can see that there's no magic behind it. There we go. Okay, that's great. Okay. Where were we? We were going to open, let's get started with a new threat model right from scratch. There we go. I've already created one, but I'm going to replace it. There's our screen that we knew so well. There's our description. So that's me. And Dana, you can be reviewer. We're going to add a diagram. We're going to call it Spotlight. Add, and there we go, save. You can see there it is. There's our diagram, and in we go. So accessible. Now, I'm not going to go through each element because then it would turn into a threat modeling tutorial. So I'm just going to show you that we can add processes, external actors, we can add those. They're often malicious, but they could be benign, you know, a normal actor, and stores for persistent data. There we go. We can select the properties. So there we go. We'll name this and we'll just call it web server. And give it a description. There we go. And this actor, well, this is going to be a malicious actor. How about a bad bot? And this is going to be just our client. And what's our oh, how about logging? All good. Web servers always have logging to audit things. Okay, and then it's very much like a data flow diagram. So there we go. We've got the client makes a request, maybe let's call it request. The web server goes to the client with the response. And yep. And maybe the bad bot, it gives us bad stuff. I don't know. What would that be? Really long requests or something. Okay, that's bad stuff. I mean, those should be thrown out by our web server itself, but you never know. Okay, and there we go. We're probably going to have some logging. Let's just call that audit. The audit logging. So there we are. So almost immediately you've got something that's recognizable as a data flow diagram, but with a threat modeling elements and threat modeling feel to it. Now, one of the most important things about a threat model and a threat model diagram is a trust boundary. So there's things you trust more, there's things you trust less. And the way we represent that is we add the trust boundary. So there it is. I've got one straight away. And I'm going to say, well, I think the client and maybe even the bad bot, they come from somewhere that I trust less, probably the internet. But it doesn't have to be. So we're going from a lower trust area to something we trust more, which is our web server. And we're bound to trust that more. So, and why not? While we're here, let's name that boundary. So, yeah, a terrible name, but there it is. Gives an idea of what's happening. And there it is. That is the simplest diagram. And you go, hooray, that's it. Are we finished now? And of course, that's just the start. Because this whole diagram, the whole tool, I mean, if it was just pretty pictures that we were drawing, we could use any drawing package. But the thing we really are interested, the output from the tool that's helping us to decide stuff, is the threats themselves. And this is where we want to manage the threats. So let's start off with our web server. Say we want to use Stride. We don't have to. We can use Linden. That's very popular, more and more popular, increasing. You could even use the original, the age-old triad of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. You choose. I'm going to use Stride because, for no particular reason, than I used it recently. So there we go. So, maybe I went too quick there. So I selected the web server. I said, okay, what threats can I see attacking the web server? Oh, that's a difficult one. So I'm not even going to try. I'm going to say, oh no, I want to look at the request. How's that? So this is the request from the client to the web server. So we're going to start off with something a little bit easier, and say we have an attempt at cross-site scripting. So there's an embedded script in there. Okay, the famous one. You can add description, and this description is of the threat, not the mitigation, but the actual threat that you see happening to your system. Okay, so, and really we should not have cross-site scripting these days in any of our systems. And what would our mitigation be? Oh, let's put input sanitization. Well, that's just the start. There could be many, many others. So there you go. So severities, let's call it medium. Is it mitigated? Well, we've mitigated it, so we're going to say it's mitigated. I say mitigation rather than prevention, because mitigation, we know nothing's 100% secure in security land. So we think we've prevented it, but let's go with mitigation. Okay, so there you go. You've got a new threat. It's you can track it, you can open it, you can edit it again. Maybe you decided that you didn't really do a good job in mitigating it, so it's now giving us the prompt to mitigate it. And you can see the data flow now is in red. Just on the side, we used to have green and red on this diagram. We got rid of the green because of people. Well, a lot of people in my team are colorblind, so any color is just red. So that's just a usability thing. Okay, so now we say, well, what about this web server? We could add another threat, but I was going, oh, I'm not so sure. Maybe I could get a prompt from the tool. And the way we do that is we can suggest threats according to per element. Now, I don't know how familiar everybody is with threats per element, but you've seen the tables before. You know, actors are not so. Usually, you don't get a threat from an actor and a certain type, but processes, yes, you do. So let's see what happens. There we go. Stride per element for my process, for my web server. Spoofing, so we're saying it could fall foul of that, so we're going to accept that. Tampering, yeah, okay. How sure you are that your web server is running the right code? Has it picked up the right configuration, for example? We're going to accept that one as well. Maybe we're not interested in repudiation, so I could ignore that one. This is just a what if, it's not a real system. Information disclosure, yeah, probably we'll accept that one. And then we're going to ignore the rest. So we just go like that. There we go. So straight away, we've got, say, 3 suggestions for the process. Now, what if I had done that for this data flow? The bad stuff. What about the stride per element there? Well, because it's a data flow, it doesn't do spoofing. I mean, how does a data flow spoof things? Actors do, but not data flows. So it scrubs that one, and it just gives us three examples that we can do. So I'm going to accept all of those because I like them. You know, we've got information disclosure, the classic one. The man in the middle just reads your data coming in and then passes it on. You go, wish I'd encrypted or had a secure channel, and things like that. So there you go. So that's the heart of the tool. The heart of the tool is creating threats. Using your imagination, sitting down with a development team or your enterprise security team and saying, okay, we're about to develop this feature. we're about to put this process in place. We need to decide and see if anybody can do bad stuff to it. Any malicious actors could come along and subvert our systems or just break our products. And that's where threat modeling comes in. And that's why this tool is here. It's really trying to make it very accessible, very easy. A dev team, they get it straight away when they're watching you do that. Within 10 minutes, they can say, yeah, that tool, we've explored the whole tool. We understand it. It's not about the tool. It's about what threats we can think of, what threats can we identify about our systems, about our products. And there it is. That's a demonstration, a very quick demonstration. One thing I just really wanted to do, if we've got time, so I'm just going to save that, go back out. There it is. I better put some stuff in. Spotlight. And then I'm going to add a contributor. Oh, I don't know. Mike. Because he wrote all the code and he should be a contributor at least. So I'm going to save all that. Now, the reason I did that is one of the features that people find really, really useful is the reporting tool. Often Threat Dragon is used in situations where you have to prove that you've done threat modeling. There's many cases where this happens. A lot of government agencies, if you're providing software to them, they go, show us the threat model. It's part of the deliverables. So Threat Dragon saves its threat model in JSON format. So you can put it into your source tree, your source code tree. You can track it with bug tracking systems, source code control. It's just JSON. It's readable. It's not a binary file or anything like that. That's not very friendly when you go to the government agency and go, there it is, there's our threat model. That they're just going to go, don't think so. So that's where the save PDF usually comes in. And you can show out of scope elements or mitigated threats. And there it is. And then you can actually save it as PDF. We find that's really, people find that really useful. And that's the funny thing, you've got this huge community. It's really quite a large community that Threat Dragon has. And we do stuff and we don't really know if people really want to use that or not. Then we find out that some of the things we've introduced, that's the reason people use the tool. So there it is. That was a quick demo. I think that one worked. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was amazing. And there's so much to learn here. I was documenting a lot of items for myself because I truly believe that threat modeling is something which we all should do before going ahead with the applications. And it is so much involved as part of the whole organization. I'm sure this is really, really helpful. Thank you so much, John, for sharing wonderful insights. And I remember you were talking about threat modeling, Threat Dragon version 2.0. So what is that all about?
Yes. Okay. Now, of course, I didn't show you the rough bits in Threat Dragon because, I'm trying to give you the good feeling about it. There are downsides to it. So it's mainly in the drawing package. So I'm still sharing, aren't I? Yeah, there we go. So if I try and pan or zoom, you go, well, I can't pan or zoom. I can maybe stretch the page, which I did just by moving an element across the page. It's not really, and now I can actually scroll, but that's not panning and that's not zooming. Now, the reason we haven't got that in there, those like really crucial things that everybody would want, is we use joint drawing package, joint.js, and the free to use version of that package doesn't include those features built in. The paid for version does, but not the free to use. So Threat Dragon version 2 is going, okay, there's a load of stuff that we've always thought about doing. Threat Dragon's been going for 7 years now. 2014 is when Mike started creating it. We want to change the drawing package. We want to revise what trust boundaries you can have, because people say, I want a square trust boundary. And we go, you've only got an arc. We want both now. And things like that, just all those improvements that we could do incrementally to version 1. But because we're going to change the whole drawing package, we thought, okay, this is a version 2, and Leo is working on it during the course of this year for next year. So you will get Zoom and you will get Pan. And I should say, before everybody gets really worried, they go, version 2, what about all my threat models that I've drawn already? We will make it compatible. It is compatible. So Leo has had a tough time at times making sure that it is compatible. But yeah, version 1 threat models, load them into version 2 and they'll be fine. They will work. If they don't, tell me and I will make it so. We will make it so.
Thank you so much, John. It was really, really amazing and wonderful. We are looking forward to the version 2 and taking help from the version 1. There's so much more here. Thank you. Thanks for sharing all the wonderful insights and contributing to it. Now, before we part ways, I do want to know how people can contribute to the project.
Oh, excellent. So shall I stop sharing? And I'm going to share my, there it is. Yes, my original screen. So it is an open source project. Hooray. Of course, because it's OWASP. I don't think OWASP does anything that's not open source, quite rightly. So there it is. It has the GitHub page. I should have pointed you to the releases page. We're on version 158. There's a whole load of releases that you can probably see. 155. We skipped some of them because some releases weren't as good as we should have been. Jump over that real quick. There is the docs page as well. We've got a docs area for Threat Dragon. You can see there it is. It's got information. People tend not to have to use the docs pages because, as you see, it's fairly intuitive about what you need to do. But absolutely, we're always looking for contributors. We have so many outstanding issues. Now we've closed 94, as you can see. We've got nearly that are outstanding, with very few that have got assignees. So if your thing is JavaScript and version 1 is Angular, the Angular framework, then come along and take your pick. Add a custom score field to the threats. That's something people have been asking for, but all of the contributors haven't had time yet. So do contribute.
Thank you so much, John. I am sure a lot of people will come and contribute to the project and help in many more things. Thank you for joining me today at Spotlight Series. It was wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's exciting times with Threat Dragon, and we're excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to it, and we're looking forward to many more things.